Dr. Clendenning, here we are again, man. Back on Total Disruption. How are you doing today?
Good, Michael. How are you today, man?
Top of my game, taking my steps two at a time, baby. Taking my
There you
steps two at
go.
a time. Sun shines in my day all the time, always. That's why I wear shorts all the time. So I want to do some myth busting today, and I want to
Ooh,
run a few things by you that I I used to work with this dude, and I feel like this guy was so full of shit sometimes that everything was I did this for 100 hours, 100 hours here, 100 hours there. I worked my ass off on this, up and down, constant mega this, mega that. Everything's awesome, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I like the 100 hours, right? I had an idea in my head. I like calculating things by hours of work. And as I've gotten older in business, from the time I was 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, whatever, I look at things and based on hour blocks because after a while, all you have is time. You're smart and you realize, shit, time is my biggest commodity. My life is not my own. Your life is not your own. You have kids. I have kids, families, obligations. They seem to kind of, for a middle period of life, ramp up. Okay. So before taking on any projects, before doing things, I like to take stock, take a step back and say, okay, how many hours is this going to take me? If it's a yard project or if it's you retarping whatever the hell that garage thing is out there, how many hours is it going to take? If it's building a business, now if you study like Bezos, Vaynerchuk, um, Gates, Jobs, Steve Jobs, those of you that remember Steve Jobs, rest in peace. Some of these other people that have built these mega businesses and mega brands, they talk about 100-hour weeks. They talk about um, busting their ass. They talk about no sleep, no this, no that. So before I get to you, I want to read you some stats. Right now, I pulled these aside,
hit me.
and let's say the assumption is you work 100 hours, you sleep about 7 hours a night. It's about 49 hours of work a week, right? Work 100 hours, sleep 49 hours. The rest is personal and free time. So the work would be about 14 to 15 hours per day across 7 days, 16 to 17 hours a day across 6 days. You sleep 49 hours, 7 hours times seven. And that leaves you about 19 hours for the week of personal and free time, which is about 2.5 hours a day, 2.7 hours a day. Work 14, sleep 7, and then exist for food and everything else 2.7. Eating, showering, driving, family, recovery, downtime. Now, when I tell you that, and you're a young man or woman out there, and I say, okay, I'm following Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm going to work 100 hours a week for 10 years, 5 years. What would you tell me? What does that say?
I would ask the question of capacity and sustainability is the question I would ask around that. We all okay. We 100% know that 100-hour weeks are not only possible from a statistical standpoint, but are absolutely plausible, and we've seen it do it. How many single mothers do we see out there burning double shifts waiting tables? How many single fathers do we see? How many people do we see busting it all the time, working double shifts, at things they have to do to make their ends meet, make their life work? We know it can be done. There is a capacity question. Like Mike says, hey, I'm going to do it for 5 years. I'm going to do it for 10 years. I'm going to do it for 1 year. I'm going to do it for 1 month. Whatever it is, there's got to be an end in sight. In order for you to say this is sustainable and has a capacity, there's got to be a point. So that's where you see, that's where we talk about burnout. And a lot of people burn out at 40 hours a week. It happens, right? And that's because they're just not in the right role. That's a completely different conversation. They
Right.
just don't love what they're doing. But if you're passionate about what you're doing, we talked about this in a different episode. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Those guys are throwing 100-hour work weeks. 100% during the season, they're throwing 100-hour work weeks all the way through practice. They're doing it. Jordan used to talk about that. Kobe Bryant used to talk about that. 100-hour work weeks to get done. And guess what? They are the top 1% of the 1%. They're kicking it. They're killing it. They're doing the thing. But they don't do it all the time. They're doing it in bursts of how they're doing it. Massive productivity, massive results in a short amount of time, recover, roll back, recover. And then they're putting massive amounts of effort into it. So that when you say it that way, and I hear you say 5 or 10 years, I'm thinking in bursts, right? I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to burn for ballistic 100-hour weeks for a month. I'm going to take back and I'm going to recover a little bit, and I'm going to see how things are going. I think you've got to have the ability to step back and review what's going on. Because if you're just busy for 100 hours a week, but you're not being insanely productive, then it's stupid. I'm just going to say it. Like if you're just spinning your wheels, but you're not being, and I don't want, I'm going to get phone calls about the way I said that, because I started with there are single moms working double shifts to make ends meet. Understand, I'm not saying what you're doing is stupid. I am not saying that. You are working really, really hard. I would encourage you to think about how, instead of just working really hard, I can use that other 40, 50 hours a week to better myself in such a way that all of a sudden I only have to work 20 hours total. Like instead of just grinding, there's got to be a way, and I'm sure there is. So I respect the hell out of you guys. My parents worked 2, 3 jobs when I was a kid. Absolutely respect everything you're doing there. So understand, I'm saying you got to be insanely productive and purposeful when you're going to take on that 100 hours.
Yeah. And I think the people that don't think 100-hour weeks are necessary are crazy, because at some point you
At some
have to
point
bear
they
down.
are. The,
You
the
have to
funny thing
bear
that
down.
happened when you were reading me the stats, as I was thinking about that, and you said you got 19 and a half hours of free time, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of free time. That was the first thing that came to mind for me was, wow, that's a lot. It wasn't I'd have to work 100 hours this week, man, that's a lot. No, I heard 19 hours of free time, plus I still get all my sleep. And I
Right.
went,
But that's
that's
like
pretty good. That's almost a full
bathroom,
day.
food. I mean, that's like 19 hours of just air. Assuming you're sleeping 7 hours, which I
But
would imagine
still,
most do at
even if
6.
you bought an extra hour a day, you knock that down to 12 hours of free time. If you handed somebody 12 hours of free time on an average day, do you think they could utilize that
No,
free time to its
they would
absolute
watch
extent?
Netflix.
Or are they going to couch ride and phone surf?
They're gonna couch ride and phone surf.
Yeah,
I can't. Not that there's anything wrong with that though. I don't know if you've ever couch ridden your phone surf for a while. It feels good sometimes. Just
there
to
are
hibernate.
there are days that it's applicable. Yes,
It's good
sick
to
days,
hibernate.
2 days.
So here's where I went wrong, right? I used to be a big fee-based guy, right? And I would work dollar hour, dollar hour. And in my mind, I didn't have an expansive mindset. Like, in other words, I'm telling people I should have gotten good at the peopling business of managing and building other people's businesses. I just didn't do that. And what I did was because in my industry, I'll get that to in a minute, but I charge a lot of money per hour, and I was trying to make $1,000 a day, and I was doing it, and I was like, "This is killer." I'm just doing my own. I had unlimited energy. I just happened to be a high energy guy. I loved what I was doing, and I was enthusiastic about doing it. So to me, it wasn't even work. I was living these micro lives and these micro situations all day long. I got plenty of entertainment, plenty of excitement. I hadn't done it long enough so it was repetitive yet. I had just enough gaps in between things to make it seem like it was something new or fresh. And I was always involved in a different environment, which I thought was great. I would travel to homes, I would drive around the countryside, I would go through like cities, I would meet all these people. I mean, I was in thousands of conversations a month, hundreds of conversations a week. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was so stimulating for so many years. But but the blind side was I wasn't scaling. I was improving my craft, I was sharpening and honing and becoming, it was almost becoming second nature, but I wasn't scaling.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't
You
in
had
the
a job.
mix. I
You had a
wasn't,
job.
well, yeah. I was became a highly skilled professional. And now, yeah, okay. I've that's almost given me x-ray vision to when I'm working these days. I can kind of go right, but so what? I had to turn around and learn scaling. I had to relearn sales. I had to relearn sales language. I had to relearn everything else because trust me, when we talk about know, like, and trust, everybody knew who I was. Not everyone liked me, but sure as shit trusted my skills. They
Mm-hmm.
sure trusted when they were coming to me, they knew exactly what they were going to get. They were getting a high energy guy, delivering the maximum value, and who tirelessly worked for a result without trying to sell you anything. So I will say that it's good to have goals. And if you're not in the peopling business and you don't understand scale and you're working your ass off and you're a little bit underwater, take, I'm going to give you like 15 years off your life. Like, get good at that in some capacity. Like in my industry, like in fitness, where I came up, a lot of people got paid to watch other people, but they also still got paid to do. So you get paid to manage a fitness staff, but you still get incentivized on your own clients. And you probably made more training your own clients. Guess what? You're training clients. Because at the end of the day, you gotta eat. And as
Mm-hmm.
flaky as that business is or can be, it's ridiculous, right? So my goal, my advice to people, let us help you if you need it. Get good at the peopling business. Get good at outsourcing. I'm terrible at it. I mean, I was. I'm a little better now. I'm terrible at it.
It's improving. I'll give you credit on that one. It's improving.
I mean, I'm just terrible. I mean, I was the worst. I sucked at it because there's a lot of idiots in my like that. Lot, not a lot of. I wasn't better than anybody else. There's a lot of idiots out there who are not throwing themselves into their work, and I was dealing with a lot of these people, and I was coming in contact with them on a regular basis, and my goodness, it sucked. It sucked. So get good at outsourcing the peopling business. Why don't we talk about that? You told me, right? You said this, man, probably 2 years ago, maybe more, and you've said it probably a billion times ever since. In terms of your first hire was the our director of operations, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about get to the point where your first hire is your VA and your assistant. Get good at trying to do something with somebody else, and that's a great start because that's leveraging you. Right? Like my first hire wasn't that. My first hire was 5 subcontractors. I had no idea what I was doing. Dude, my billing system sucked so bad. I would sit there for hours counting sessions in a calendar. Terrible, terrible. So why don't enlighten us here on let's enlighten us on the first hire, and then the real like get tactical. I mean, I know we don't have all day, but get tactical in that process.
Right. Yeah. And it's so okay. So let's be challenged and diverse in our thinking for a second.
Oh,
We're talking
I'm
about the
plenty challenged.
100-hour work week, and I want to throw into the mix the 4-hour work week. Tim Ferriss, where he talks about the 4-hour work week.
He neglects to
However,
say it costs $200,000 to make the 4 hour work week happen. I know somebody that did that, and that's what they had to spend. At least
well,
200 to 500.
but that's an investment, and it depends on what you want to do. If you can pull it, like that's where you got to go with it, because Tim talks hugely about, yes, you got to build an engine that generates money. Absolutely true. And then he talks about leveraging out everything that can possibly leverage out, hire it out. If you make $400,000 a year, you're going to pay $200,000 a year to leverage it out. You're still going to, your net is going to be $200,000 on a 4-hour work week. Like, read the book. I'm truncating it really good, but there's some great concepts in there about how to leverage. Like, he has some very clear language on what to do with that. And so when I back here, I've hired other people before, but the first real hire in my coaching in this space is what I did with it. Let's put it this way, I got fired. Okay. I got fired from a really epic real estate transaction, $4 million in real estate,
Wow.
because I wasn't performing for the seller like I thought I was. Okay. They had a different expectation than what I was providing. So I got fired. Well, that made me realize, all right, I'm not good at this particular aspect. I'm not good at the follow up. I'm not good at the very consistent. It's got to happen at 2 o'clock on Friday email campaign that they wanted to see how many showings, how many people, what the market was doing. This getting this report to them at exactly that time is what they wanted. I wasn't getting it to them. I'll own it. I'll totally own it at the time. And I was busy. I had a lot of real estate on my plate. I was coaching a lot of people, coaching brokerages, building, doing a lot of things. So I let that go. Well, it was a wake up call for me that I need help because I was burning a 100-hour work week. 100%. I was working from 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night every single day. I was answering phone calls on Sundays, I was doing all the things. And things were falling off the plate. They're falling off the table. And I finally had to recognize it. So I hired at the time what I would call I hired a VA, right? I hired a virtual assistant. And I made a remarkably quality decision at the moment when I hired them. I had three people I could have chosen from. Two of them were yes men. Comes right down to it. They were giggly, they were fun, I enjoyed their time, we had good energy, but they were yes men. Yep, whatever you want me to do, I will go figure out. What that meant is I was going to have to run them. And it was also something I was very comfortable doing. Like I can tell you what to do all day, but I still got to think about it, which means I got to put time into that. And then there was the assistant that I have now, who's the director of operations. She scared me. Quite honestly, she scared me a little bit because she was better than I am. She's still better than I am in the things that I do. And I thought, man, I'm going to have to step up my game and I'm going to have to let go of control, Mike. I'm going to have to let go of control of these things. And I'm going to have to let them tell me, hey, this is where you got to be, when you got to be, how you got to be, who you're going to talk to. Here's the list. Here's the thing. Like, and a lot of anybody that's ever been a guest on the show works with her and knows what it's like uh, to get to deal with her. She's amazing at follow up. So I made the decision to leverage that out. I went from a 100-hour week to a 30-hour week in a heartbeat. And I did not fulfill 40 hours a week for her. I was only fulfilling like 25. So think about the math that just happened there. I went to 30 and 25. So all of a sudden there's 55 total working hours when I was currently putting in 100 to do the same thing. She's way better at it, got it done faster. I shifted into my wheelhouse where I'm really good at certain things and I was
Okay.
being more efficient at that. And all of a sudden we found ourselves with more time because we are leveraging it out to the point to where we are better at it. And it was because I gave up control of saying the standard stuff. Well, my clients will only work with me because they like me. No, they don't care. Quite honestly, they'll move on to the first person that gives them the best follow up and the best service that they can get. And that is how it went. So yeah, I hired her. She's been with me for 5 years. We're in her fifth year right now that she's been with me, and we've done some amazing things that I would never have been able to do because I wouldn't have had the capacity to do them if I would not have given up, let go of, I'm using the words on purpose, or empowered this other person to just take them over, right? She runs my emails, she runs a lot of my social media stuff. She takes care of everything that is administrative, data, analytical, any spreadsheet build that needs to be done, notes that need to be taken, follow-ups that have to be done, all the stuff that I was not good at. I was doing it. Well, okay, I was good at it. I wasn't great at it. She's great at it. And how much more money do we make as a result of hiring her? It's a lot. It's significantly more per hour than I'm making. I was sure I was making, 100-hour work weeks. You bet. I was doing $1,000 a day. That's all true. Okay, now we're making $2,000 a day and I'm working half as much and paying her not as much by the time it's all said and done. Actually, my cost per hour went up
Uh-huh.
by leveraging it out. So that's the moral of the story is what are you doing that's a $9 an hour task that you should not be touching? And that's forcing you to work those 100-hour weeks. I mean, what could you do? So so let's propose this. If I take all the administrative stuff away from you, Mike, if I take it all away, all the anything that you've got to do, sit in front of a computer and go, this is terrible. And I took that away, but you still worked. You still did your genius zone stuff. You still put in the 100-hour week. And everybody's like laughing about this, like, oh, I don't think, no, you don't understand. Mike calls me at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night all the time. He's on the road here to there. I was with this client. Now I'm running to here. Like when we're talking about 100-hour work weeks, Mike's legitimately doing it. And if I took away, I will guarantee you, you're doing 30 to 40 hours of administrative work a week on the stuff that you're doing. If I take that away from you and you still go run your ballistic 100-hour a week thing, you are effectively going to double your income because now you're going to be doing tasks that are income or revenue generating, not administrative generating.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it becomes so second nature, people don't realize they're doing it.
You don't realize you're doing it, and that's where I was so buried and entombed in my business that until I got a good solid smack in the face, I didn't realize it. I got fired from a $4 million listing. Now I've had other big listings, but this was like, it was a really, really pretty ranch. It
That's
was
stings,
beautiful. It was
dude.
great. And that would have been a nice feather in the cap, but I got a beating off of that I needed and I deserved.
Wow, that stings. By the way, when I was making $1,000 a day, dude, I was wearing wind pants and a t-shirt. It was awesome, and I wasn't selling
Hmm.
drugs, which was great. Because it was, I was all I needed was effort. I was blind, and I was in my 20s, and I mean, I instantly went from like zero to hero in my eyes. Then I should have been 5,000 a day, but I went from zero to hero, and I was a success because I was like exceeding my parents. I was really productive. I had real estate. I had all this shit going on. I had a pile of cash, man. It was awesome, you know. And it was a lot of fun, but again, it was seductively entombing. It put me in a box after a while, and I just didn't. It took forever to make the jump out of there. I mean, listen, I went deeper into it. I didn't jump out of it, but for the sustainability of it all, it took a while to get my head out of that zone and into more of a 30,000 foot view and be able to impact others from a tactical business standpoint doing other things. And that was the most fun. Like I'm in the woods back here. That was the most fun. I like see this plant moving behind me. It's crazy. That was the most fun. Was the second jump. The first jump was realizing where I was. The second jump was moving away from where I was. So that was that really gave me a lot of joy,
And
and I was
that's a
able to
moment you
impact
just
other
have to
people.
be, you got to get you got to get out of comfort, right? Just get out of comfort. And comfort is a lot of times, what's the saying? Um, the chains, I'm trying to remember what that one is. The chains of comfort are light until they're too heavy to remove. Something
I
like
don't
that.
know.
And it's basically you just keep adding one link at a time and you can take it and you can take it and they're just too heavy to take off. So now you're grinding 100-hour work weeks, but are you being purposeful with it? Are you making, and everybody looks at it a little bit differently, but I will tell you that your productivity and what your genius zone is and how good you are at doing something, and this is where you look at Steve Jobs, you look at everybody else, when they're focused in that one spot, they're doing epic things. They are not doing billing. It's not what they're working on in that 100-hour work week. They're not working on email follow up. They're not working on calendars. Like, just get it in your head. If you spend 100 hours a week for 1 month of inventing the thing, getting the book written, doing that one thing, super hyper focused and doing nothing else, my God, what would your life look like after that?
Yeah, and just rinsing and repeating and doing that. Can you imagine that? I mean, you would have all kinds of different things. 100 hours a month. It's wow, that's impressive. I was looking around here. I don't see the 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I have a ton of books in my library around
I
me.
am not surprised that that one does not live in your library, but it should. But it should. It's
Somewhere.
got some brilliant concepts in it, guys.
Probably
Check it out. Tim's a cool guy.
probably in my second library. Um, no, I mean what's around me is The Art of War right now. Teach the Word, Power. Tony Robbins, a lot of that crap. So I gotta dig up Tim Ferriss. It's always good to get motivated by Tony. Which, by the way, we should probably do a whole separate episode on what happened to the self-help world and what happened to the personal development world. The shakeups, the watered downness, the dawn of the internet, the airlock that the gurus used to have that they don't anymore on that industry.
We will do. We will have that conversation
I'm looking forward to it.
another day.
All right. Well, find us on our socials. DM us. My name is Mike Labursti on behalf of Jake Clendenning. We thank you again for tuning in to Total Disruption. We'll catch you next time. Now it's your turn to discuss.